Today is the 5th of May 2014. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to this edition of Lunchtime News. I'm Katrina Chang. Let's take a look at what's making headlines. Rain accompanied by strong gusts to be experienced in many parts of the island. Water levels of several reservoirs at spill level. World Conference on Youth to work off in Hambantota. Several nurses' unions continue with strike action. International Midwives Day commemorated today. 19 dead and 60 injured following Indian train derailment. And to local news, nursing staff from a number of trade unions are yet to report to work as a partial strike continues. President of the Government Nursing Officers Association, Saman Ratnapriya, stated that unless a solution is tabled with the strike, we'll proceed. An island-wide strike action launched by nursing staff with regard to midwifery training and a number of other demands hampered operations in a number of hospitals. The Public Service United Nurses Union, headed by Venerable Muruttettuwe Anandathera, was decided to call off their trade union action that was launched to demand labour room training for nurses. Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Professor P.B. Jayasundara, noted that an agreement was reached to form a committee headed by the Thera in order to find a solution to the matter. Meanwhile, Newsfirst captured footage of a number of hospitals which are in operation today in order to assess the current situation. The strike action, which was launched day before yesterday, continued today as well. Due to this trade union action, only 3 nurses reported to work in the Mathura General Hospital. Usually 270 nursing staff report to work in the morning. However, we are providing medical treatment at the OPD unit and to in-house patients despite the strike action. Today marks International Midwives Day. Let's take a glimpse at the history and origin of the International Day of the Midwife.
Midwifery is a trade that is centuries old. Throughout history, there is plenty of evidence of the existence of midwives in every society since the very beginning. Midwifery is not just a trade but also a great service towards humanity. International Midwives Day is celebrated every year on international level to commemorate and promote the contribution of the midwives towards patients all over the world. This year's theme is, quote, "Midwives changing the world one family at a time," unquote. In our country, however, the theme for this year is, quote, "Let's protect midwifery for healthy labour," unquote. The first maternal hospital in the whole of South Asian region was established in Sri Lanka with only 6 staff members being trained in midwifery. Thereafter, the trade spread from the year 1883. Family health care services include pre-maternal care, maternal care, post-maternity care, infant care, adult health care, and other health-related services.
The World Conference on Youth works off tomorrow in Sri Lanka. The conference will continue until the 10th of this month.
The World Conference on Youth 2014 will commence tomorrow at the Magam Ruhunupura International Convention Centre. A group led by Minister of Youth Affairs and Skills Development Dallas Ala Perima visited the convention centre yesterday to inspect the readiness for the opening ceremony of WCY 2014.
You can see here the preparations that are being made for the opening ceremony of the World Conference on Youth 2014 at the Magam Ruhunupura International Convention Centre. Rehearsals for the opening ceremony that will be held tomorrow continued today as well. Representatives from 169 countries have already confirmed their participation in the conference. The World Conference on Youth 2014 will work off at this convention centre tomorrow morning under the auspices of the President and the President of the UN General Assembly.
එක්සත්ජාතීන්ගේ මහා මණ්ඩලයේ සභාපතිවරයාගේ සහභාගීත්වයෙන් 2014 ලෝක තරුණ සමුළුව මේ සම්මන්ත්‍රණ ශාලාවේදී ආරම්භ වීමට නියමිතයි.
A rehearsal for the opening ceremony of the conference was held last night as well.
ලෝකයේ දිගින් පැමිණි නියෝජන
168 representatives have already arrived from all four corners of the world. This World Conference on Youth will not conclude with the presentation of the Colombo Declaration on the morning of the 10th of May. The Colombo Declaration will mark the beginning of the dialogue on the role of youth from government and non-government organizations in various regions and various nations in the post-2015 Global Development Agenda.
තරුණයන්ගේ වගකීම පිළිබඳ කතිකාවත ආරම්භ වෙන්නේ කොළඹ ප්‍රකාශනය.
The first group of foreign state ministers who will be participating in the World Conference on Youth 2014 arrived in the country at 1 o'clock this morning at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake. They were welcomed by Minister Dallas Ala Peruma.
And on a related note, the Around the World team is due to arrive in Sri Lanka this afternoon, marking the end of an epic 40-day journey across the globe to raise awareness on the World Conference on Youth 2014. The Around the World in 40 Days Global Goodwill Tour is a joint initiative of Newsfirst and Sri Lanka Youth.
Around the World in 40 Days.
The global tour commenced on the 27th of March with the national flag of Sri Lanka being presented to the members of the Around the World team by President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The purpose of this journey was to raise awareness across the globe on the World Conference on Youth 2014. Yasrath Kamasiri and Ramesh Irigal Bandara represented Newsfirst on this novel undertaking, while Sri Lanka Youth was represented by the Assistant Director of the National Youth Services Council, Saman Abewardana. The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Youth Clubs Federation, Saman Kumara Ranavira, and the Vavuniya District Secretary of the Federation, Amuda Raja Devaraja, also represented the Around the World team. The team toured 5 continents across the globe over 40 days. Their first stop was Malaysia, followed by the Southeast Asian nations of Singapore, Indonesia and the Philippines. They then headed to the Far East, where they met youth representatives from China and Japan. The team then headed to Australia and the United States of America before making their way to the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, France and Russia. The Around the World team will conclude the final leg of the tour in India today, following which they are scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka this evening.
The Department of Meteorology notes that an atmospheric disturbance has now developed into a low-pressure system to the west of the island. The department forecasts that sudden gusts can be experienced in sea areas and inland owing to the development of clouds from this low-pressure system. The Met Department forecasts that rains or thundershowers can be expected this afternoon and this evening in many parts of the island. The department added that some areas may experience rainfall in excess of 100 millimeters.
Atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka is still affecting the weather over the island. As such, showers or thunder showers will occur over most parts of the island during the afternoon and night. Heavy rainfalls about 100 mm are also expected at some places. In addition, showers can be expected at some places during the morning too. There may be temporary localized storm winds during the thunder showers. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize the damages caused by lightning activities during the thunder showers.
Several areas in the Puttalam district, including Tabbova, Karuvala Gaswava and Eluwankulama, have been experiencing heavy showers since last night. Our reporter says that the Navy camp in Old Eluwankulama has been removed owing to the rising water levels of the Kalaoya. The water level of the Tabbova reservoir too is rising. The Mana Eluwankulama road was inundated when the Kalaoya overflowed.
Around 90 persons have been affected by the adverse weather conditions in the Puttalam district. The DMC has taken measures to issue warnings to the fishing community as well as the public. Meanwhile, MP Arjuna Ranatunga says that administrators too should be blamed for the creation of athletes who only wish to play for money. He made this statement at an event held yesterday.
The awards ceremony for the Sinhalese Sports Club's 2014 Cricket Carnival was held in Colombo yesterday. A group including the Secretary of Sri Lanka Cricket Nishantha Ranatunga graced the occasion.
තමන්ගේ රටට ක්‍රීඩා කරනවට වඩා මුදලට ක්‍රීඩා කරන්න කැමති අය ඉන්නවා.
There are those who wish to play for money more than they wish to play for their country. You cannot only blame the players for this. Administrators too are to be blamed. The values of cricket and the laws of cricket have all been lost as a result. I believe this is extremely unfortunate. We need to raise these children right. When uneducated players take certain decisions, it is not good for the sport, it is not good for the sports club, and it is not good for the country when they play for the country. I have seen this through experience. That is why I say to these boys, no matter what sport you play, do not fall behind in your education.
ඒකයි මම මේ පුතාලට කියන්නේ මොන ක්‍රීඩාව කරත් ඉගෙන ගැනීම අතපසු නම් කරන්න එපා.
The engine of the Pale Colombo mail train derailed near the Anuradhapura railway station last night. A correspondent stated that the mail train reached the Anuradhapura railway station at around 10 last night. The train recommenced its journey after a 20-minute delay, but the engine of the train derailed after moving 20 meters from the Anuradhapura railway station. No injuries were reported from the incident.
Newsfirst, English news, now on Dialog TV, channel number 9. You could catch our primetime breakfast news at 7 a.m., lunchtime news at 12:30 p.m. and our flagship news bulletin at 9 p.m. You could also keep yourself up to date with Live at 55s and Newsfirst Plus every half an hour from 8:30 to 5:30 in the evening. Newsfirst, Sri Lanka's only international news brand.
On that note, we conclude this edition of Lunchtime News. It was an absolute pleasure having you with us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Katharina Chang. Have a lovely day ahead.